Hi, welcome back to the Crafty Author. So we're going to do blocks 9, 10, 11, and 12 at this point. So we're going to head over to the quilt wall and I'm going to show you what we're going to be making today. So over here, this is what we're going to work on now. So this block is actually a little bit wonky. So what I'm trying to do here, since we're making a sampler quilt, is I'm trying to show you different variations that you can use with 2.5-inch strips. So the ones that we worked on before are a little more uniform, whereas this one is going to be a little bit more wonky. But I just want to show you what you can do with them. Now, if you wanted to actually, measure everything out and do it perfectly so that it's perfectly aligned using this pattern, you definitely could do that. But for demonstration purposes, I am not. I'm just going to make it as wonky as I possibly can, and we're going to put it together in our quilt, and I promise you it's going to turn out gorgeous and you're going to love it. So now we're going to step over to the sewing machine and we're going to get started. I'm going to show you how to put this together, and then when we're done, we'll add that piece over here to this portion of our wall. Okay? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start out with is like we normally do. So we're going to have our backing already cut. I know mine's a little off, but that's okay. I've got my fleece batting that I am using as my batting. And then you're going to need to cut from one of your 2.5-inch strips. You're going to need to cut a 3-inch square. So this is 2.5 by 3. So it's not perfect. It's just what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down right in the center. Now, if you're not sure where your center is, again, remember to fold up your fabric and mark it. So I marked mine with a black permanent magic marker, one of those, and it bled through. So be careful what you're marking with, because you don't want that. But I'm not too worried about it at this point. So I found my center point, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball where this is at. If you wanted to be more precise, you could actually fold this in half, your little square. You can mark your point, and then you would see that this would be your center, right where my fingers are at. And then you could just place it down right there. So now, hopefully it'll be more centered. I don't know because I'm not too worried about it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut some strips and we're just going to sew them onto, I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. So just cut, I don't know, maybe 4.5 inches, and I'm just going to do the other side too so that it's pretty even. Okay, put that in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this one up, this square here, pretty even with my 3-inch square, and you'll see what I'm going to do. But I'm going to leave a little bit to overhang just because I don't want it to not be completely uniform when I start. So I'm going to, I need to make sure my feed dogs are. And they are. Okay, sorry about that. It was free motion quilting earlier and need to make sure I've got everything good. All right, so I'm going to just press my needle down and I'm going to just start sewing 1/4 inch down my edge here. And I'm going to stop right here because I can already see, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I can already see that I'm past where my square is, so that's fine. So I'm just going to finger press that out for right now, and I'm going to put my other piece on this side, and then I'm just going to sew it down. And as you can see, the edges meet. Okay, so that's what you want to do. I'm just going to put this down here. Like I said, this is kind of a wonky block, so I'm not too concerned about it. So it's going to turn out fine. So there's that. I got my two down, and then I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little, well, no, I'm not. So I boo-booed and I sewed too far down, but I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with that, okay? So it's not gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna go press. Okay, so I'm back at the machine and I've got a long strip and I'm just going to kind of measure it out a little bit like I did before, except this time I'm gonna try not to boo-boo. But I'm not too worried about it, okay? Because we're just kind of doing this as we go. There's no right or wrong way. But I will fix my mistake and you'll see how it'll kind of come together. All right, so I'm finished cutting that. So now what I'm gonna do, now that I have these two sides sewn down to my middle piece, now I'm going to put a piece here. And I'm just going to line that up with my square that's in the center. And I'm gonna start sewing 1/4 inch. Okay, so I have that one done, okay? So now I'm gonna finger press and then I'll go over to the iron later, but you see, I've already covered it. I covered up my mistake, so no big deal, all right? So if you do something like that, don't freak out. It will be okay. I actually kind of like it when mistakes happen while we're on camera because then I can show you how you can kind of get around it. Because I know it can be a little bit intimidating sometimes if you goof up. So there we go. We've already got the start of our pattern going. So I'm going to go press and I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. So I've already pressed and now I'm getting ready to do another strip on each side here. So I'm going to go with a lighter strip this time, just to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to measure my strip here. And again, just a little bit bigger, not a whole lot. I'm caught on my chair. And then we're going to just make this one about the same size. And just cut that so that we're ready to go. And I'm just going to measure it up on this block now. So on my shortest block here, which is in the center, and we're going to just sew it down, just like we did the others. Okay, that one's done. Finger press. There, got that. Here. Okay, now I want to show you something. So we're really close to the edge here, okay? If you have backing that isn't being covered on the back, so like if your backing is still not completely covered, you will want to add another piece of strip, even if it's really small. You just want to make sure your whole block is covered. Mine is, so I am not going to add any more. I'm going to leave it just like this on these two sides, okay? Because as you can see, there's plenty of fabric. This is where my fabric on the front comes to. So I've got plenty of fabric for my backing. I'm going to add now strips to the side, but first I'm going to go and I'm going to press. Okay, we're back. So now I've picked another color, another strip, and we're going to do, this one is going to be dark because I did the lights here. I could go light along here as well, but I am trying to keep with our wonkiness, and so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to measure this one out. This one I'm going to do a little bit bigger, just cause, and I'm going to go ahead and measure it on this side like this as well. I'm just going to take it straight out to the edges, okay? Just personal preference. There's no rhyme or reason for it. I'm just doing it that way. And then I'm just going to start sewing. Get this one down. Now, as you can see, my strip is off right here. So I've been sewing a 1/4 inch down here and it was perfect. You see that? And now it's not. So all I'm going to do is just take my fabric and move it over and line it up with the edge. And I'm just going to continue to sew. So if you have one that's a strip that's uneven, that's how you're going to do it. And it'll turn out wonky, but that's okay for this block because that's what we're going after. So no big deal. Okay? And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do the other side of this. I'm going to stop and just make sure I'm still going in the, make sure my fabric is lined up, which it is. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to press this out with the iron and then we'll square it out. Okay, so our block is finished. It's all pressed out. Everything looks perfect. Looks beautiful. I love this block. I was just telling my husband that the other blocks I spent a ton of time on, and this one I did really fast for this tutorial, and this one turned out the best and it's my favorite. So there you have that. So now we're going to square this up, okay? And remember, we're squaring our blocks to 10 inches. All right, so now I know that this edge is straight, and I can put my ruler on the 10-inch line there, and it's fine on that bottom, and now I can completely square it up. And we're good, and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so there we have it. So this is our completed block. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put what we have so far up on the quilt wall. So this was our first 4 blocks. These were our second 4 blocks. This is our third set of 4 blocks. And so as you can see, this one is more diamond shaped, and this one is the horizontal vertical lines going different ways. This is a very wonky type of block. So if you had just like scraps laying around, you could do something like this. And so the next block that we're going to complete will complete the whole set of blocks that we're going to be doing. And I hope that you're enjoying this. So I'll see you later.